This is Ravi Shankar. I want to share with you a new poem called Latin for New World Order. Over a plate of 3-bean salad, a Jamaican chum confesses between bites he hates people of color. Not us as beings, but the phrase itself, the way it turns each unique polyvalent human monolithic as Stone Mountain in Atlanta, whose north face bas-relief depicts Confederate President Jefferson Davis, General Robert E. Lee, and Stonewall Jackson, who as a kid I'll admit I thought a bona fide badass tactician. The flush of shame its image elicits each time he visits the ATL sears him differently than it does me. "You don't even know. You're not black," he says, a cannellini being speared on a raised fork for emphasis, affecting his best ludicrous imitation, which, I could argue, is its own form of cultural appropriation given, as my dreadlock brohim often reminds me, he was born in a land of callaloo, Antean grackles, spidery mangroves, and kicking up the rumpus. Still, I get his point. Lumping together Choctaw and Creek with Lakota and Navajo, confusing the Hopi and the Hoopa. As native, yoking the inner city granddaughter of an Alabama sharecropper descended from plantation slaves with a Singaporean American banker who flew first class to move into a lower Manhattan brownstone? Not to cop the POC, but it's patently problematic. So too Asian American, the model minority myth, crammed full of erasures. Current median economic indicators show among Bhutanese, Cambodian, and Bangladeshi immigrant communities rank among the poorest populations living in cities, from sea to shining sea. Thinking of how to respond to my Kingston friend, I suddenly recall St. Vincent Chin, the Chinese-American draftsman who was celebrating his bachelor party in Highland Park, Michigan, 1982, when he was mistaken for being Japanese by a Chrysler plant supervisor and his stepson, a laid-off auto worker who blamed Toyota, Honda, and Nissan for his own misfortune. For them, handsome Vincent Chin was nothing more than mere metonym. Princely Vincent Chin, in suit and glasses or a gold medallion, that luxurious mane of hair, out celebrating, his whole life ahead of him, his wife-to-be picking out floral arrangements, beaten to death with a baseball bat by two angry, inebriated white men who didn't spend a single day in prison. Their second-degree murder charges were pled down to manslaughter, and they were sentenced to pay no more than probation and a $3,000 fine. The presiding judge wrote in a letter, "Those weren't the kind of men that you'd send to jail." Which begs the question, what kind of men and women do you send to jail? I'm a Tambram Am, a Tamilian Brahmin American. I'm also a man of color who's been slurred, mocked, stereotyped, profiled, arrested, even idealized as a guru. Even if I don't look like Vincent Chin, I've walked miles in his Adidas. In death, he reached across ethnic lines to help shape multiracial alliances that advocate for civil rights, which is why I don't mind being called a POC. This signifies strength and solidarity, a reassurance that those of us born with skin darker than a grocery bag, a heritage traced back to conquest and colony, still have a community who can collectively speak discontent to privilege with greater force. We must all hang together, or most assuredly we shall all hang separately. The famous anti-classicist cribbed from kite-flying Benjamin Franklin, who, while inventing bifocal glasses and dreaming up the lightning rod, decried low women, labeled Native Americans drunken savages who delight in war and take pride in murder, and described blacks as sullen, malicious, revengeful, and by their very nature, thieves. A slave owner who had come to serve as president of an abolitionist society after having availed himself of slaves' labor for much of his life. Less than 3 months before he died, he petitioned Congress to end slavery. Deep within the American character, there festers such raw, scabrous, unresolved contradictions. On the U.S. seal, Franklin designed and placed beneath the disembodied eye, crowning the pyramid on a dollar bill, there's a Latin phrase, Novo Ordo Seclorum, or a new order of the ages. Though Franklin preferred the motto rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. What should Holy Vincent Chin's family make of that advice? What about the family of Srinivas Kuchibhotla, the affable Indian-American engineer from Hyderabad, shot dead in Olathe, Kansas, by a bar patron who mistook him for Iranian, shouting, "Are you legal and get out of my country, you terrorist!" before murdering him in cold blood? He could have so easily been me, born the eldest of 3 in Washington, D.C. in the 1970s. That's why Black Lives Matter. That's why human rights. That's why I rep the POC, even when it's maddeningly PC, imprecise, even when it overgeneralizes and essentializes. I make my claim. My buddy flashes a wry smile, finishes his salad, and leaves a handful of wadded bills for a Guatemalan waitress that I smoothen out on the table. A new order of the ages? The countervailing powers that balance lives precariously in a capitalist democracy means it becomes not just an ethical, but a patriotic duty to fight inequity wherever and in whatever form we find it. For proof, just check the back of a dollar bill. Thank you very much. God bless. Stay safe. Look forward to seeing you on another side of the new normal whenever that happens. Reaching out with love and light towards all of you. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.